If James Brown hadn't tried to be a hero, he wouldn't have been hurt. Ricky Jones had planned this day over several weeks. He watched the comings and goings at Montague Diamond Studios in London's Hatton Garden from a tiny flat which he rented above the shop opposite. He knew exactly when the night guard would be replaced by the doorman. He knew what time the manager arrived in the morning, and exactly when the staff went home from work. He even knew the times at which the police patrolled this famous street filled with some of the world's best-known jewellers. He had visited the studio on several occasions and made a couple of substantial purchases, so when he arrived that August afternoon, he was greeted with the due deference all loyal customers deserve. "Hello, Mr. Jones," said the doorman, raising his silk top hat and opening the door to the shop. But today Ricky Jones's visit was to be slightly different. He certainly expected to leave with some new pieces, but today he had no intention of paying for them. Most of the staff did exactly as Ricky Jones demanded. After all, he was the one holding the gun. But one young man, James Brown, decided that he was not going to allow the burglary to happen. It was an unwise move. He survived, but he would never work again. By the time the police arrived, he was well away from the scene of his crime. Inspector Grayson of the Metropolitan Police promised that it would only be a matter of time before Ricky Jones would be brought to justice. But he was wrong. 5 years later he retired, frustrated that he'd never got even close to Ricky Jones. At least that's what he thought. In fact, Mr. Jones took a lot of trouble to make himself invisible. The lush black hair was cut to a businesslike short blackened sides and coloured a mousy shade of brown. His neat beard was gone. He had changed his contacts for a pair of functional-looking spectacles. He even managed to shrink by swapping his trendy high shoes for a pair of glossy black brogues. His extravagant, colourful clothes were changed for a drab grey suit. He took great pleasure in deliberately passing Inspector Grayson in the street, unnoticed. Despite the burglary, Montague Diamond Studios remained one of London's most prestigious jewellers. The staff remained loyal, and most of the members that had witnessed the events all those years ago were still serving the firm's select clientele. The day was nothing special. Customers came and went. At a high desk in one corner of the studio sat Montague's new diamond expert, handling pieces with gloved hands and examining them through his eyeglass. He didn't exactly need to work because he was a man of means, but he got enormous pleasure in spending his days doing what he loved to do most, studying precious stones. The doorman announced the arrival of a young man in a wheelchair. The staff rushed to greet him. It was James Brown visiting his old place of work for the first time since that fateful day. He suddenly spun his chair around and faced the diamond expert. A gasp went around the room as James Brown produced a gun from beneath the blanket on his lap. "Hello, Mr. Jones," he said.